contractors giving you stress? Well, then join the rest of us. It happens to everybody. I'm going to tell you one thing that's really going to help you work with your contractors. It needs to go smoother, and you need to get to making money faster. I'm Amy Dixon Plumley. I've been a property manager in our family-run business for over 30 years. As part of my job, I built new construction, general rehabs, flips. I've worked with hundreds of contractors. Learned from my mistakes. First, you have to understand that in the world of services, we want three things. We want it to be done super fast, we want super high quality, and we want it to be cheap. Well, you can't have all three of those. You'd probably be happy with at least two of them. So when you're talking to a contractor, you want to keep in mind which two of these things that I want am I going to get with this particular contractor. So a great handyman, but he works by himself. So sometimes what that means is that the quality might be really high, but they might be a little bit slower. I have had the circumstance where I already signed a contract and now I found out that I need to do a bunch of work to the floor. It to be high quality, I might end up having to pay more to get it done super fast. So you need to take this all in mind as you're choosing which contractor is for you. So you can't control your contractors, but you can influence how they work with you and with your property. So what is this magic thing that I'm talking about? It's communication. You knew that's what I was going to say. There's so many ways you can communicate, and you need to make sure that they're going to communicate back to you. We're going to communicate the timeline, how fast we need to do this, how much work can they do without getting authorization, how much flexibility do they have? Can they come any time of day or night? Or do they need to come between certain hours so that they don't bother the neighbor in the duplex? When should they be calling you? Like, are they calling you when the job is totally done? Or are they calling you when they get to a certain point so you can inspect it and make sure that everyone's on the same page? You need to talk to them about how the payment works. I personally do not pay people up front. Now, if it's someone I've worked with before or there's heavy equipment costs involved, there's normally a portion of the equipment that might get paid. For example, an HVAC contractor, when the job is $8,000 and $5,000 of that is equipment, it may be understandable that they're going to ask you for $2,500 down to go ahead and get the equipment. But when I'm paying people money, I also should know exactly what the schedule is going to be. Will I see you on Wednesday? When will you be there? Because if I'm putting money out, it needs to get rolling. It can't be something that waits weeks and weeks and weeks. Then you don't pay them the whole thing because that doesn't encourage them to get over there and finish the job before their bill comes. Talk to them about what other jobs there are that are in front of yours. If they have 2 months of work before they get to you, maybe that works for you. Generally, that doesn't work for me. I'm always in a hurry because I want us to get to making money as fast as possible. So always impress upon your contractors that we got a schedule here to keep. So, if this job will fit into your schedule, I totally get it. Hey, and I'll call you on the next one. But I really need for you to fit it in between this date and this date. Does that work for you? Great. Well, let's talk about the price then. I also like to talk to them about what issues are they seeing here. Is there something that they feel like, oh, if I tear this out, we might get into this kind of problem. Especially when you get into floor work, foundation work, you might get into termites, you might get into the wrong size supports. There's a lot of things that happen there. So that's not my favorite job to do. When would they start? Have a conversation about this is what I don't want to happen so that if anyone thinks maybe this is starting to happen, hopefully they'll give you a phone call. So communication starts with the first phone call, which leads into the first visit to your property to give you an estimate. And it continues on with the conversation of what you need, what time do they have, what price level is that, and that's where the written invoice comes in. Maybe they texted you a price. Anything that's verbal, that's great. You had a conversation. We need to put it with it. But just know that that is what you're going to go back to when there's a problem. Or when someone says, oh no, it's $4,000. No, it says $30,050 right here. What part of this job have I not heard about? What is the material cost that you didn't include in your estimate? So estimates need to be in writing. They need to say if something's subject to change, deal to material costs, or maybe based on what else they uncover. That needs to be in. Also, they need to talk about when payment is due. I mean, everybody wants to get paid. Put that in their estimate. By the way, anyone who wants to be paid cash, I don't trust those folks because they're not paying taxes, and I don't walk around with cash. I need a record of everything that we're doing. I need it for our taxes to prove that we're legit paying money to people. I need for it to be a real expense. So I don't like when people go around saying, well, if you pay me cash, it'll be this price. Who are you getting around? Who doesn't know that you're getting this cash? That's what I worry about. I don't really like to pay cash. Let's say they give you a text and it says, okay, this job is $850. Well, just a text that says those words isn't good enough. So what I do is I text back and say, for $850, you are tearing out these boards, cleaning up and repainting these boards and doing this. Correct? And I expect them to communicate back with me. If they don't communicate back, this probably isn't the contractor to work with. Anyone who is difficult to communicate with on the beginning of the job, it's just going to get worse. So don't deal with people who don't even communicate in the beginning. Don't go there. Don't do it. So far we've done written and verbal communication. Here's another form of communication. Show up at the job. If you have known this contractor for 20 years and you've worked with him the whole time, maybe you don't need this part, but I would still sporadically do it. If it's a new contractor, I would show up when they start. I would show up partway through the day. I would show up the next day. And then if I don't like something, I leave a note. I'm communicating where they're supposed to see it, right in the middle of their job. And if they haven't communicated back to me, that signals that, oh, they never even showed back up over there. That's not good. But I like to leave notes when it's in the beginning. We're trying to set the tone of this relationship, and I don't want it to go wrong. I've already spent a lot of time invested in this person, and I can't make money until they're done. So if I need to do a little bit of extra showing my face at the job, I'm going to do it. Plus, it means that I'm serious and I'm not going to let it go if they don't show up. And I'm on top of this. So most of the time they're like, oh, I better get it done. She's going to show up over here. Yes, I am going to show up over there. So if you don't want to hear from me, please get your job done. Part of showing up is that you're also going to do a little bit of chit chat. Get to know your contractor. Ask them how they started doing this kind of work. How about you ask them, do they have any family? Why not know a little something about them? I don't mean know all their struggles, but if you know a little bit about them, you know what might be some of their red flags. Once I talked to a contractor and he didn't look very good. So I said, are you okay? He goes, yeah, well, I've kind of got some problems. It wasn't but 2 weeks later, he almost had a heart attack on our job, on our property. We promptly told him, you need to go home. You need to go get medical attention. He never showed back up again because then he needed a heart transplant. So you want to be kind, but in the end, this is a contractor that did not finish the job. We had to cut him off, come to an agreement as to what he had done and how far he'd gotten and how much of our materials and his materials he'd used. And then I had to go find another contractor who charged me double, I think, for the job, but they got it done. They stepped in and, I paid for how fast that was, but it helped us get to the end of our project much more quickly. So those are some of my tips that relate to communication. I hope that this helps you. Please comment or let me know what other things you'd like to hear about. Have a great day.